Right, over the weekend, the National Population Commission released some data on life expectancy across the country, and people are talking about it on social media. In fact, fear gripped my heart when I saw the projected life expectancy for this year, 2024, and it's being pegged at 55 and a half years.
For me?
Right. Yeah, for maximum. Why are you concerned about that?
Maybe we are there already.
He's not 55 and half years. That he just did something to me on the inside. All right. So what that means is, if you're a Nigerian and you live as long as 55 years old, like, you're good.
Okay, so
it just,
we are there.
well, you know, but beyond all that, I actually want us to talk about the factors, you know, that are responsible, that contribute to life expectancy, especially in a peculiar country such as Nigeria. We're talking about issues bordering on health, because health plays a major role when you talk longevity and all that. So let's talk about these factors: clean water, air pollution, and all of those things. Mr. Zukamba.
Well, I looked at the figures, and one thing struck me, that the life expectancy in Nigeria has been increasing over the years. In as much as we complain multi-dimensional poverty and this and that, on the average, life has been getting better in Nigeria. For example, in the 60s, children didn't wear shoes except when we were going to church. Okay, I went to school. In my school, we didn't wear shoes. We didn't wear shoes to play around. But even in my village today, you know, the poorest of the kids wear shoes to school. They play with shoes. When I was growing up, rice was some kind of an exclusive delicacy. Osikapa and toka sugar. That was our song in the village. The rice is as sweet as sugar. Okay, so it was a very vital. But these days people eat rice. In those days, even up till the 70s, eating egg was something of a semi-luxury. But even the truck pusher, the poorest Nigerians can eat egg, spaghetti. Like my sister told me, that the first time she got introduced to spaghetti was in the university. But these days it's such a common thing, the poorest. So there's been a lot of improvement in terms of the quality of food we eat, medical services readily available to us, but we keep complaining. But because the life expectancy went from 46, from what I saw in the 60s, up to 56 at this point, it's still very discouraging, because most countries that are comparable to Nigeria, the life expectancy is like 70 something. But we've made some progress. Let's keep it up. But then we have the highest maternal and infant mortality in the world. So that kind of reduces our average life expectancy, because a lot of children die at birth, and they're all factored into it. A lot of mothers die during childbirth, and they're all factored into it. So we have a very long way to go.
All right, Mr. Zukamba.
For a minute, relax and say kudos to ourselves.
Really? I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Mr. Zukamba.
I'm not going to be in that kind. For the second time, I'm opposing you. What we refer to as improvements, they are imported external influences. What is the food value?
In terms of nutritional benefits.
Let me learn. These days, I have a privilege that I say without any intent to be loud. We still have the village. So when we visit our grandmother in the village, and then we go and grab this local chicken, if you know the taste of that chicken as against the taste of a chemical induced chicken that you are eating today, you won't say you are eating chicken. All of these societal imports now, they've come to change a lot of things. We now have genetically manipulated foods across the world. Now it's here. Is that healthy living? No, on several fronts we have failed. One thing that is keeping us alive surprisingly and deceptively is religion. It's the only place people go for hope.
Soccer.
And because they too, they have integrated. You know, the churches before were not this sophisticated. They now deploy technology to make your coming to church an attraction. You go to church, there's a digital screen showing people dancing, jumping. The quality of music has improved, the instrumentation has improved. And you know, that is the only weapon. The same thing, we now have Sunday services in Islamic groups. And then they also have introduced music. But when you look at our educational system, whereby we have more out of school children than any other country in the world.
Almost 12 million.
It's a minus. When you say healthcare, how affordable? Big question. We have more private hospitals now than before. In those days, private hospitals were very few. Everybody depended on. And let me also tell you, I'm a herbal nutritionist. There's been an explosion in the demand for herbal solutions. Okay? So when you look at all of that, we have not done well. When I say we, both the people and the government, you talked about people making demand. We've not been making the demand for irreducible minimum. That this is the least we should go. But what do you, I have had a case, somebody had prostate enlargement. It was an admission in the hospital. They had spent a lot of money. When it was not getting better, they contacted me. And I arranged the herbal tissue for them. Before, you will not carry a book into the hospital. I mean, the doctor doesn't, they said, look, let this man take this thing. And lo and behold, as I told them, in 48 hours, the man started getting relief. And 2 weeks after, he left the hospital. No thanks to their treatment, but thanks to my own herbal treatment. So when you look at all of those factors,
more like medical advancement.
Before, you will only read in international magazines that herbal solutions are good, but now you get bitter leaf in capsules. So you can begin to see all of this. But for us as a people, we have not scored well. Ordinarily, at my age, I should not go to the hospital and pay. The same to hospital and pay. And then see
the US, not Nigeria with Nigeria. I'm trying to talk about the improvement we made over the years, say from the 60s. In the past, a man above 60 is old enough and comfortable enough for death. But these days, a man of 70
for death.
People die, like my father used to say. Anybody that dies above 60 died a natural death.
But when you say when you say they are comfortable enough, what is that?
Those days, people retire from the civil service. 5 years later, they die, and it's all normal.
It's okay.
Yeah, but these days, at 70, 75, a man is dressing well, looking for a young woman to talk to. So things have changed so much. The average people die at 70 and say, well, he wasn't that old. 80, 90, that's when people are expected to leave us. But in the 60s, I knew people who are 73, 69, comfortably so old, they have this, they have that, and so overall, things have improved. Not when we compare ourselves with Britain or America or Canada, but look at the pictures of our politicians in the past. Those that led us. Look at their faces, worn out, haggard, hungry. Then look at the politicians of today. Look at school children, because I pay attention to things like that. Look at their faces. Look at my grandmother, maybe at 80, and see my mother today at 88. My mother looks younger, fancier than my grandmother, maybe at 75. So overall, we've made progress in some respects. But we still have a long way to go. That's my overall. People are happier, kinder, gentler. When I was growing up, a kid talks, you hit him by the head. Kids were relegated to the side. But today, a kid claims his right. You're being unfair. No, I'll tell my dad. In the past, it wasn't like that. So overall, we have more freedom in the society. we live longer, we are happier,
we live longer. Okay. Actually, that's what we're discussing now.
We live longer. In the 60s, a man of 73 is an old man, worn out, down and out. Today I have friends who are 77. They dress well. They go to tailors and tell them the
and they look good.
They look good, yes. It wasn't like that even in the 80s. Okay? People these days, look at the obituary these days, 82, 85, 91. Check back in the 60s, it would have been 65, 71. So the world as a whole is moving forward. Nigeria is getting better, not as fast as we expect, but overall we are moving forward.
Well, I am surprised that you are saying all of these things. I was born in Abeokuta,
yes,
and I spent the first 23 years of my life there, even though in between we were visiting Lagos, back to other places, and of course going abroad. But I can tell you straight away that the people you see now that you think they are looking fancy, they are nurturing one ailment or the other. Okay? When I was growing up, I never heard of hypertension. There are so many of your colleagues who go about with bags containing drugs and they must take morning, noon, and afternoon. I never heard of diabetes. Today, so many people are living with diabetes. The lifestyle,
even at a young age.
God bless you. I've seen a 12-year-old, which of course is misnomer.
Exceptional.
It's exceptional. Then what we call terminal disease are more rampant now. So where is the progress? Will you now go and put the obituary of a 47-year-old in the newspaper? Because you see 81, 85, so you think that will represent the demography of death in Nigeria? Excuse me, no, I disagree. We have a larger population now. So when people die, they die in their numbers. All of the terrorism you see, kidnapping, robbery, banditry and everything you see, they take people's lives away, even in their infancy.
Yes.
So how do we say we are making progress? I've not told you now that the food, some of the food that we eat, Nigeria imports a lot of food that we eat. They are not good. I mean, a lot of them have issues. We shouldn't be taking them. I've seen people grooming chicken. In 6 weeks, they've attained market weight.
How?
They call it market weight through all manner of injections.
Steroids.
Yes, steroids and all of that. Now, people tell you when you eat chicken, don't crack the bone. Why? Inside the bone is a deposit of antibiotics, all manner of antibiotics that they use to grow the chicken.
It's not a Nigerian issue.
He's not saying it's a Nigerian issue. It's just
it's a global issue. But are we immune or insulated from it? No.
So because these things are imported into our country and that's what we eat, and even the countries where we get our food supply from, they distinguish, between this chemically induced or generated food and organic food. So if you want organic food, you get it at a higher cost. Yeah.
It happened that they now started separating inorganic and organic. At the point where the world began to realize that so much damage is being done to the human race, they use animals for this experiment. They now translate it to human beings. So I will not agree with anybody that life is better now than before. We may be looking psychedelic and whatever. That is due to social integration and change, which of course
technology
is the only permanent thing in life.
Technology, we've evolved. Yeah.
Machines, AI now design clothes, now design things. So you think you are there. Go to Facebook. There's something they call there's one app that if you should apply it to a photograph, she will look like a teenager. Okay? So all of these things are felt to, we are living in a deceptive world.
In the past, many of the diseases we are conscious of today, we did not know about.
But they were killing people.
They were killing people. That's why life expectancy was less then. These days, a man of my age goes to periodically check his blood pressure. But as I was growing up, I never for once had my parents talk about blood pressure. Maybe they knew what it is or never heard about. Maybe they go to the doctor and doctor checks their blood pressure, but it wasn't a factor in their lifestyle.
Okay. Their lifestyle.
In my village, people didn't know what was called diabetes. Now in my village, they call it Oya sugar, the disease of sugar. Okay? People didn't know what maybe prostate cancer, they called it something else. Now they call it Oya man, the disease of urine. Okay? So people are becoming more aware and start checking. So those days, a lot of people had a lot of illnesses that they did not know about. But now we are savvier. You know, my father was looking at my grandmother's picture, maybe taken in the 60s or 50s. And he said that the sign on my grandmother's face that now she knows is indicative of lack of blood. So the woman may have had shortage of blood, but did not know it. And it was so obvious, showing on her face. But she didn't get medical checkup, so she didn't know. So now my father, they saw many decades later, this woman, you see the problem she had, and I was showing on her face. So we are becoming more enlightened, we are becoming more conscious of our health situation. That's why we are living longer.
All right, that is living longer for you, Mr. Zukama. Okay, let's bring it home now to life expectancy. How all of this affects how we live.
It's not
how long we live. I mean to say
that this thing can kill. It's not enough to know that I don't have enough blood. It's not enough to know that I should not take these things. How many people know things that are not good for them and still indulging them? You know, the grandmother you refer to, they live more agrarian and organic life. Okay? So they didn't have to get
poor and hungry life.
No, they were not hungry. It's not the same thing. Even now, I listen, even now, I told you this before, I eat once a day. I eat cooked food only once a day, and that's in the afternoon. In the morning, I take my herbal teas. In the evening, take some fruits, and I'm off to bed. But when you see me, you think I'm looking well. It's not because I eat, as in eat 10 wraps.
It's a lot.
So it's, you see, we just don't know how to know that these things are not bad. You must also know the good things and do them. That's why I'm going. And do them. In those days, they were not, or the cigarette smokers were not being told that they will die young. They just say, so your general said.
And people
they didn't have the guts. They didn't have the guts to come out and say.
In my village, people have a heart attack. They say the spirit squeezed the person. There were too much misinformation. People did not know, but now people know better. People take better care of themselves, and consequently we live longer in Nigeria compared to the past. If you start comparing us to China,
have I mentioned China there?
No, I'm giving an example. Then we are not doing as well as we should have done.
All right, gentlemen, let's bring this home to how we live in this country and how it affects our lifespan. We're talking about factors such as nutrition, like you mentioned. It's not just that the food is there. What are the nutritional benefits and values of what we're consuming? Also, food availability. All right, there might be eggs and chicken. How affordable are they to the majority of Nigerians? Access to clean water. Shockingly, there are still parts in Nigeria that do not have clean running water in 2023. Let's not even go the route of open defecation. It's still a thing even in this Lagos, Nigeria, mega city Lagos. Okay, you can't pass by any of the railway tracks and not hold your nose, your breath. Sorry? These are the factors, that contribute to, our lifespan as a people in Nigeria, according to the report. Sanitation, open defecation comes under that. This issue of flooding and clogged drainages, and it all comes under this issue of sanitation and all of that. Okay, so if we're pegging the life expectancy of an average woman in Nigeria today to 55.5 years, and that of a man to 56.5 years. That for me, I don't think is living long. I don't think at 50. I think I'm just getting started. I think I'm just getting started at 50.
It's not living long.
I found the figures unacceptable. I don't want to know what parameters or what metrics is not acceptable to me. I have most of my classmates from primary school, secondary school, they are still alive, and we are all clearly over 60. By the grace of God, February 21st, I'm 64. So I can tell that people are living longer, okay, and for different reasons. Now, it's not the food agri side of it is on the low low, but there are developments in telecommunications that have helped people to see life on a different level. Before, if you are worried about anything, you may just be there on your own. But nowadays, people go on Facebook and they type very intimate analysis that they have. Some get help, some get advice. Okay? Now, people sit here in Nigeria and get wives coming from the US to marry them. All of these things, they change the social arrangements that we grew up to know. Before, by the time you were getting married, if a woman had come to approach you that you should marry her, come on, you will go to town and say, can you imagine? This and that, I mean, you call her, what do you call her? What do you call them now? You call her all manner of names. Yes. But nowadays, ladies easily go to men and tell them, I want to marry you.
Propose.
And it happens. But above all of that, on the other side of the index, is the issue of failed family system and values. Like joke, we now have a band of people called single parents, single fathers, single mothers, and they are in their large numbers. If you want to know, go to any assembly, and then you will be shocked when they are asked to stand up, for them to be prayed for. Not only that, the dimension, because we are already researching into it now. Why do we keep having, broken homes? Is that the fathers of those children, the mother cannot trace them anymore. You know, before, if you marry into a family, you know members of that family. Nowadays, it's like they marry men from the space, and the moment the thing goes baboons, the man disappears into thin air. So those are the issues that we must also put into consideration in concluding that people now live longer or whatever. We have to, some of us, people grow up here wearing what they call Boscola, second-hand Oyibo clothes. Do you know there's been a ban of it, but people are still smuggling these things in because a particular group of economic class depend on
that. Thank you, Are.
Okay, I looked at the figures in the 60s or thereabouts. The life expectancy was like about 46. While some people grow up to the age of 80 and 90, mind you, life expectancy compiles all the deaths and then average them out. So even those that died at 3, 4, 5, gangsters that were killed in robbery at 25, they are all put together. So it's been based on we've been increasing over the days. Now you have more broken homes, which is a mark of economic advancement. In the past, many women suffered so much in their marriages, but had no option. Parents would tell you, please, it will be a disgrace on us. Don't leave the place. Even if the man is killing you, stay there. And secondly, because the woman has no education and no means of livelihood outside, she lives the home, she stays. But these days, a woman that can take care of herself would not be ready to take all the nonsense some vicious and wicked men are ready to visit on women. So it has its negative implications, but there's some element of positiveness or positivity to it. But overall, I'm saying kudos to Nigeria for having moved from life expectancy of 46 in the 60s.
So 55 and a half. Oh my!
Slow process, but progress has been made.
We have countries in the world whose life expectancy is pegged at over 80.
Yes.
All right, and that's countries like Denmark, Amsterdam, and the rest of them. And then we are celebrating 55 and a half a year. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no possible sense. It is weird.
Let me show you.
It is.
In statistics,
Yes.
there are different methods of gathering data.
Yes.
And when you gather the data, you compile, then you compartmentalize, and then you analyze, begin to come out with results. How well have our statisticians
You're questioning the statistics.
how
That's a
reliable?
different thing altogether.
It can't be.
That's a different sphere altogether.
All right, gentlemen, let's not deviate too much. All right, I think this data released by the MPC should be like a wake-up call to all of us Nigerians. Your life is not in your hands.
No, we are out of
So
we are dead because of us, we are dead.
no, you're not. No, you're not. You know, your life is in your hands. Okay, whatever you do with it, it's not yours. So, okay, the life expectancy is 55 and a half. So if you're above 55, 56, that means you have achieved so much. Because what they are looking at is all of the struggle, the suffer, the stress an average Nigerian has to deal with from birth up until 50 something years is enough to kill a person. So if you live beyond that, like Mr. Scammer, you have achieved so much. We're laughing about it, but it's not funny. Really, it's not. It's a very, it's a reality, and it's so depressing to know that, you know, we live in a country that you're expected, well, to only by divine intervention live above 50. You know, like that's so sad to know. And the issues are all staring all of us in the face. Against all of the food and the water, sanitation issues, another thing killing Nigerians on the daily, let's not forget, banditry, insurgency, all right, in many parts of Nigeria, terrorism, they are all also taking lives in Nigeria. It's a whole lot. It's a lot. Quickly, sir.
Remember, that politicians of old were looking at that. And politicians of today